Okay, welcome back. On this video, we are going to discuss the 5 essential thyroid tests most doctors ignore. Could you imagine living back in the dark ages when people believed that diseases were caused by evil spirits? Doctors back then used leeches to suck out bad blood. They actually believed that evil spirits lived in that bad blood. By today's standards, this practice and the mindset behind it seems ridiculous. Although not quite as barbaric as leeching, today's accepted protocols for thyroid testing are extremely outdated. Most doctors don't run enough tests to see what's really going on with your thyroid, and the lab ranges they use aren't sensitive enough to reveal problems. Lab ranges are inaccurate and vary from lab to lab. Bell curves are used based on local populations. This is why you may have been told that your test results are normal even though you feel terrible. So the traditional lab ranges are very broad. And again, we're just looking at disease and pathology. What I like to use are called functional lab ranges. These lab ranges are determined by the American Association of Clinical Chemists. These are guys who study normal, healthy physiology of healthy individuals. These reference ranges don't vary unless there's some new discovery in human physiology. So let's look at some examples. So you can see how this normal person could actually be very sick. We'll look at blood sugar or glucose. The functional ranges are 85 to 100. Traditional ranges are 65 to 110. So if you go to your doctor and you're at 73, then you're fine. But from a functional perspective, this is hypoglycemia. And this can cause low energy, fatigue, brain fog, and lack of mental concentration. Thyroid stimulating hormone. Functional ranges are 1.8 to 3.0. Traditional values are 0.3 to 5.7, so much broader. So if you go to your doctor and you're at 4.2, everything's fine. But again, this could, from a functional perspective, this is hypothyroid. And this can cause lots of different problems, as we mentioned. Cholesterol, and this is always a fun one. So, functional ranges are 150 to 200. Traditional ranges are 200 below, right? There's just no lower limit. So cholesterol is bad, the lower the better. So if you went to your cardiologist and you're at 148, they'd give you a high five and say, good work. But when I see that, it's actually too low. God didn't give us cholesterol because he was in a bad mood. Cholesterol actually has a purpose, has a job to do. Even the bad cholesterol, your LDLs and your VLDLs, they're there for a reason. God didn't just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to give him some bad cholesterol. I'm in a bad mood, right? So when I see low cholesterol, that's a problem. This could be a sign of low immune system function. So, your immune system is heavily dependent on cholesterol. So if I see cholesterol that low, then one or two things is going on. Usually the person is on a medication, a cholesterol medication, to lower their cholesterol, and they shouldn't be on it because their cholesterol is too low, or they have an autoimmune disease because your immune system is heavily dependent on cholesterol. And when the immune system is working overtime, that can deplete your cholesterol levels. Do you know that 50% of your brain is made out of cholesterol? So the covering of your nerves is called myelin. That myelin is made out of cholesterol. So again, you need cholesterol to have proper nerve function. Hormones. The number one building block of every hormone in your body is cholesterol. So again, cholesterol is very important. It's not just some bad thing that we need to just push down to lower limits. Now that you have a better understanding of functional lab ranges, let's talk about the actual tests you need to get the best treatment for your Hashimoto's. So again, most doctors only test for thyroid stimulating hormone, maybe T4, rarely TPO or thyroid peroxidase antibodies. This is a algorithm that's put out by the Mayo Clinic. And to make a long story short here, this is really just about what kind of medication to give. So most of our doctors try to follow what's called a standard of care. And, following these protocols would be practicing good medicine. But from a functional perspective, following this standard of care would actually be bad medicine. If this is all that's done, your treatment is based on limited information. Only testing thyroid-stimulating hormone to determine thyroid health is like only using a car's temperature gauge to determine an engine problem. There's just not enough information to see what's really going on. So you can determine the best treatment protocols. Here's what you need to test to get the full picture of what's going on with your thyroid. A complete thyroid test to include thyroid-stimulating hormone, a total T4, thyroid peroxidase antibodies, a free thyroxine index, a free T4, free T3 uptake, free T3, thyroid binding globulin. To understand why all these tests are necessary, we must understand what our thyroid does and how it works. What each test can show us about each step in the thyroid process and how it's working. What do I mean when I say thyroid process? How your thyroid works, part 1. Your organs need T3 to work properly, and more exactly on why in a minute. Your pituitary stimulates the thyroid to make it. The thyroid makes 93% T4 and only about 7% T3. The more T3 can be created by removing an iodine molecule from all of that extra T4. So how your thyroid works, part 2. T4 and T3 get transported to the cells that need them via thyroid binding globulin, or what we call the taxi drivers. The pituitary gland is always checking T4 blood levels to see if you need more T4. If you do, it releases thyroid-stimulating hormone to tell your thyroid to make more T4. And the cycle continues. I know that was a lot of information, and that was actually a simplified version. But if you only remember one thing, then here it is. The one thing to remember: almost every organ in your body needs T3 to work properly, because the thyroid is essentially coming under attack from invading cells. It isn't able to produce enough T3 for your organs. T3 is needed for breathing, making energy, heart rate, nervous system function, maintaining proper body weight, building muscle. T3 is needed for proper menstrual cycle regulation, maintaining proper body temperature, healthy cholesterol levels, growth and the development of babies, intestinal flow, and digestive issues. That's why people with Hashimoto's have so many symptoms that seem unrelated. Here's what we can test to find out what's causing your annoying symptoms. First, thyroid-stimulating hormone. A hormone from the pituitary gland that tells the thyroid to make T4. Lab ranges 0.35 to 0.5 milliliters. Functional ranges 1.8 to 3.0. People with Hashimoto's can have both high or low thyroid-stimulating hormone. Total thyroxine, or T4. It's called T4 because it contains 4 iodine atoms. The iodine comes from the food you eat. T4 will eventually be broken down into T3, which is the usable form that your cells need. The lab ranges are 6 to 12, functionally 5.4 to 11.5. Free thyroxine. All right, a test that reveals how much T4 is free or unbound in the bloodstream. The lab ranges are 0.7 to 1.5. Functional ranges 1.0 to 1.5. Affected by some prescription medications, you don't want very much free T4. You want T4 to be converted to T3. So the free thyroxine index, a test that reveals how much T4 is free compared to how much is bound up. This reveals abnormalities with the thyroid binding globulin. The lab ranges are 4.6 to 10.9, and the functional ranges are 1.2 to 4.9, so much more narrow. Thyroid binding globulin. These are proteins that transport that T3 and the T4 to the cells. These taxicabs are cells that are made in the liver. The lab ranges are 15 to 30. Functional ranges are 18 to 27. a free T3, or made from T4. So again, we have T3 is only 3 iodine molecules. T3 turns on gene expression that tells cells to do what they do. Lab ranges are 260 to 480. Function ranges are 300 to 450. Thyroid's T3 uptake reveals how much T3 is taken up by the thyroid bonding globulin. The lab ranges are 24 to 39. Function ranges 28 to 38. Thyroid peroxidase antibodies. This is the one that tells you that your immune system is attacking your own tissues. These TPO antibodies measure something called thyroid peroxidase. The lab ranges are less than 15. Functional, less than 15. Blood test results for thyroid peroxidase antibodies are positive in 95% of patients with Hashimoto's. As you can see, there are many steps where things can go wrong. In this situation, the production, transport, and absorption of T3. Doesn't it seem silly that a doctor would think that they could help you fix it if all they test were your thyroid stimulating hormone levels? And now that you know more about your thyroid is supposed to work, and all the ways your body will not work correctly if your thyroid hormones are out of whack, aren't you glad to know that it's not all in your head? That there's a very real cause of all the annoying, debilitating symptoms you've been struggling with? You aren't lazy. You just have Hashimoto's. I've helped many others recover from Hashimoto's, and I can help you. In the next video, I'm going to reveal how we can work together to help you get better, ASAP. I want you to hear all about your symptoms and your family history. I want you to take the lab test I mentioned in this video, and I want to carefully explain what your lab results reveal about your thyroid as well. Share the customized Hashimoto recovery protocol I created based on your lab results. If you think that sounds amazing, then watch the next video to find out how we can work together.